Him get me topsy-turvy. So fire tonight. Now, look, bring it up.
Back again. I don't know why.
Right? Yeah, man. No, can't stop him, man. January 26, 2025. Remember, you know, 2 weeks ago, you know, I said to the Jamaican people that the primary reason, right, why Paula Llewelyn coming back to the space, Paula Llewelyn talk about he has unfinished business. Let me tell you something, Paula Llewelyn. The unfinished business that you're talking about SSL. Right? You are talking about SSL. What you want to use, and let me say it because I said 2 weeks ago that you want to use statute of limitation to get rid of this case. We know say your weapon that in a Paula Llewelyn. We know say your weapon that. So let me read out this. See there? Key evidence still outstanding in SSL fraud case. Now, I'm going to ask you some question tonight. Right? January 26, 2025. Recently. Now, watch this now, people. 2 years after the multi-billion-dollar fraud at Stocks and Security Limited, SSL, came to light, a critical piece of evidence remains outstanding. Now, let me ask a question, Paula Llewelyn. Let me ask a question. You're the DPP and you want transparency and clarity. What is the critical evidence that remains outstanding? Have you told the public? Yeah? What is the critical evidence that remains outstanding? Now, if you are here as it relates to transparency, right? Why you don't give the investigator some ultimatum and say, okay, all right, by X time, right, this needs to be done, right? Or else I am going to proceed with charges. Remember, you know, Crawl had finished the investigation, you know, and send a comprehensive report to you, you know, for you to charge some people, you know. Who are those people to be charged, Paula Llewelyn? Why are you not making any step to charge those people that Crawl recommended you to charge? As it relates to those people who Crawl recommended to be charged, are you saying that more critical evidence, you understand, pertaining those who recommend to be charged? Right? What is it that you are waiting on? You are waiting on statute of limitation. That is why you are waiting upon Paula. Which of the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions says is hindering its ability to complete its review and issue a ruling. This is the criminality with you, Paula Llewelyn. Waiting on statute of limitation. DPP Paula Llewelyn confirmed in a Sunday Gleaner interview that despite significant progress in analyzing the case file, one crucial element is still missing. What is that one crucial element? Take that away on. Let me show Paula Llewelyn something. Let me have a tenant. Let me show Paula Llewelyn where me they go tonight when I talk about one crucial piece of evidence. You know what? You know how much months you talk about crucial piece of evidence? That all a man go and take you on, right? Now, still have one crucial piece of evidence. Let me deal with you. Let me show Jamaican people, right, as it relates to justice delayed, justice denied. Let us get into the Wikipedia and let us show people what is going on, because I am going to show you, Paula Llewelyn, how you, right, after, and I mean, this is going to be the Miami Herald, authentic journalists, investigators who investigated, right, and found you culpable in a Paula Llewelyn. I'm coming out with that evidence. I'm coming out with that evidence. Now let us go to Wikipedia and show Paula Llewelyn something. Let me sip up some bourbon. People, people, this is Paula Llewelyn. So Paula Llewelyn, me want you come read this. Justice delayed is justice denied. It's a legal maxim. It means that if legal redress or equitable relief to an injured party is available, but it's not forthcoming in a timely fashion, it is effectively the same as having no remedy at all. So let me explain the first paragraph. Right? Now the people of FSL who had suffered injuries, right? And where the report have been collected, investigation has been done by FID and Crawl and hand over that investigation to you. And where Crawl made recommendation for charges to be applied, and you sit on it, right? It is effectively the same as having no remedy at all. You need to do better. This principle is the basis for the right to a speedy trial, Paula Llewelyn, and a similar rights which are meant to expedite the legal system because of the unfairness for the injured party, right? And so then, who sustained the injury having little hope for timely and effective remedy and resolution. Take that away. Take that away. Now, Paula Llewelyn, right? My panel just sit back and relax. Let me just build the background, right? Because I want to deal with him tonight. I want to deal with him tonight and make the people in the seat, the clear evidence. You understand? Now, what we are going to go into, we are going to go into a trail of cases that Paula Llewelyn had dealt with, right? And in some instances, Paula Llewelyn doesn't participate any at all. Any at all. Now, let's just look into this case. This case has nothing to do with Jamaica investigator or Mystic Sensation. The Miami Herald, we are going to go into people, right? And look how Paul, and this has to do with members of the Scotland Yard, right? And I mean some serious detectives. And remember, Scotland Yard detectives have some reputation that, trust me, extremely professional, right? And other investigators. And when you have these investigators, look and said, no, this lady, right, is corrupted. Now, let us, without any delay, let us get into this particular case, right? Bring up the Miami Herald. Jamaica murder yarn has political ties with a Scotland Yard twist. Let us bring up that. Let us bring up that. We are showing the pattern of behavior.
1 second.
Right? We are showing the pattern of behavior with Paula Llewelyn. And the reason why Paula Llewelyn don't want, right, to leave the office because of the SSL case not over, and you only want Paula Llewelyn to bury the SSL case. Now, here it is, people, 200. Here it is, people, right? Okay, so let us get into this. Jamaica murder yarn has political ties with a Scotland Yard twist, right? Now, August 14, 2016, this, look what happened to this person here, James Robertson, right? We can play the clip, right? Okay, let us play the audio and people listen.
Jamaica murder yarn has political ties, with a Scotland Yard twist. In February, James Robertson won re-election to the Parliament of Jamaica. It was the latest in an unbroken string of victories for the 50-year-old politician since winning his first campaign in 2002. During that time, Robertson, a member of the conservative Jamaica Labour Party, has survived a political career that would have derailed many. He was re-elected in 2012, when a backlash against the JLP's association with a drug trafficker forced the Prime Minister to resign, and the rival People's National Party, PNP, nearly swept the elections. When he tried to push out his party's leader in 2013 and lost, he kept his deputy leader position in the party anyway. But those episodes were child's play compared to what he faced in 2010. That year the U.S. State Department revoked Robertson's visa for reasons never made public. Then he was accused of murder. The accusations against him dominated headlines in Jamaica. But Robertson was never charged and has denied the accusations, attributing them to political enemies. He's never been charged, let alone convicted. His accuser, a small businessman, has left the country. Officials made no comments. The news media eventually dropped the story. The matter seemed to simply disappear. Until now.
Sponsor message, then we're back.
Life is full of distractions, like this clarinet solo. But you don't have to put up with distractions in your photos. With distraction removal, Adobe Photoshop can automatically delete unwanted elements like wires and people. We're working on the clarinet. Try it at Photoshop.com.
Leslie Leigh Green, a former assistant commissioner of police for the Jamaican Constabulary Force who has since retired, revealed to the Miami Herald that he investigated accusations that Robertson tried to arrange at least 2 murders, and found enough evidence that he recommended that prosecutors charge the politician. Investigations have been conducted alleging serious offenses against Robertson and others, said Green, who is English and a former Scotland Yard detective. In 2006, the Jamaican government hired him on contract to help professionalize the force. The Department of Public Prosecutions made a ruling there was sufficient evidence to charge Robertson. But after carefully assembling his case, Green said, Jamaica's Ministry of National Security refused to offer to protect one of the key witnesses. The witness fled, and the case fell apart. The guilt or innocence of Robertson aside, the episode highlights a problem holding the powerful accountable in a region dogged by violence. The UN's Caribbean Human Development Report noted in 2012 that Latin America and the Caribbean made up 8.5% of the world's population, but tallied 27% of its homicides. Jamaica has the highest homicide rate in the Caribbean. Day at the dealership. On a sunny afternoon in 2008, Ian Johnson was finalizing the purchase of a silver Mitsubishi Pajero at Motor Sales of Jamaica when he saw James Robertson enter the dealership. Johnson owned 2 convenience stores and a construction company in St. Thomas, the parish Robertson represented in Parliament. He was active in the JLP and had raised money for Robertson's previous campaigns. Robertson beckoned me aside, Johnson said in a sworn statement filed by his Fort Lauderdale lawyer and attached to an application for asylum in the United States. We walked a few feet away from the sales rep that I was talking to, Johnson said in the sworn statement. Robertson told him he was having problems with a businessman in St. Thomas. The rival businessman's name was Cecil Riley, known locally as Petrol. Specifically, he asked me to arrange to kill Petrol Cecil Riley, Johnson said in his statement. Johnson said he was shocked and left without giving an answer. Robertson did not respond to repeated requests for comment by email and telephone. His lawyer at the time, Patrick Bailey, said, he's not going to talk about that. To the Jamaican news media, however, and in a court document, Robertson acknowledged Johnson's allegations but vehemently denied them. He ultimately would file a libel suit against Johnson's lawyer. A few weeks after the encounter, 2 gunmen shot Riley dead outside a nightclub he owned in St. Thomas. Even by Jamaican standards, Robertson's alleged request stood out. Robertson was not just a member of parliament, he was the country's Minister of Energy and Mining. He was in his 40s and the deputy leader and a rising star of the JLP. In addition, he would seem to make an unlikely criminal. He is from a prominent Kingston family. They own a shipping company and cold storage facilities. Robertson himself had gone to high school in England and then graduated from Southern Methodist University in Texas in 1988. He was a polo-playing socialite. By the mid-2000s, however, the young politician's rise had caught the attention of Jamaican and U.S. officials for the wrong reasons. A 2005 diplomatic cable sent by the U.S. Embassy in Jamaica and obtained by WikiLeaks stated that like many Jamaican politicians of whatever party affiliation, Robertson is known to associate with criminal elements. A 2007 cable obtained by WikiLeaks stated that sources told the Drug Enforcement Administration that Robertson was involved with money laundering and organized crime, and that Robertson's father had once been forced to hand over acres of land to settle his son's drug debts. The U.S. Embassy declined to comment for this article. Immediately after Riley's execution on May 26, 2008, Robertson expressed shock. He praised Riley as a role model for young people. Morning, noon and night, you could always look to him, Robertson was quoted in Jamaica's RJR News. No one has been arrested for that homicide. Suddenly a target. Shortly after Riley's death, Johnson said he became a marked man. According to a police summary of incidents, gunmen shot at him as he drove home from work one night, but missed. They shot at him inside one of his convenience stores, missing him but wounding an employee. Johnson said local police told him they could not protect him. Then, on June 6, 2008, 3 men entered one of Johnson's stores and shot and killed his mother, Hyacinth, while she worked. Johnson took his wife and young daughter and went into hiding. He continued to speak to police, but says he came away with the message each time that there was little they could do to protect him. After about a year, Johnson moved back to his gated house. On the night of July 17, 2009, a gunman stepped out of a car and fired at him as he talked to employees in his carport. Bullets hit Johnson in the thigh, arm, and neck, but the wounds were superficial. A nearby police car rushed over and arrested the driver of the getaway car. The gunman fled on foot. A few days after the shooting, according to Johnson, Robertson himself showed up at his front door, saying he was concerned for Johnson's safety. In the carport, Robertson wrote 2 names on a piece of paper, Johnson said in his sworn statement, and told the Herald, Kyone Treasure Campbell, and the name Guns, which was an alias for a man Johnson knew. But then Robertson crossed out Campbell's name and told me this name I should not pay attention to, according to Johnson. But he pointed directly at Guns' name and said to me if I killed this man for him, all my problems would go away immediately. Johnson said once again he did not respond. Robertson's lawyer stated in court papers in connection with the libel lawsuit that the allegation he asked Johnson to kill Kyone Campbell, and a man with, alias Guns, was not true. The statements made by Mr. Johnson are false. According to police and other sources, Guns is Kamar Williams, a local gangster affiliated with the rival PNP. Leigh Green, the assistant commissioner of police, later tracked Williams down abroad. I met him outside the country, I'm not going to say where, Green said in an interview. The crux of the conversation was that he knew James Robertson wanted to kill him. He knew it was a credible threat. So he fled. Johnson said he worried there would be repercussions for not following Robertson's alleged orders. He believed those repercussions came to fruition on July 29, 2009, when Johnson's most trusted employee, Jermaine Jones, was lured to a friend's home where a waiting gunman shot him. Jones escaped to a nearby hospital. 2 days later, gunmen tried to kill him there. Again, he survived. Johnson and Jones went into hiding. Johnson reached out to officials at the U.S. Embassy in Kingston for help. He also contacted David Rowe, an expatriate Jamaican lawyer practicing in Fort Lauderdale and teaching at the University of Miami, to assist with a bid for political asylum. On November 9, 2010, Johnson gave a sworn statement in connection with the asylum bid over the telephone to Rowe and a court reporter in Fort Lauderdale. Johnson relayed his entire story, which was turned over to U.S. officials. Johnson also released his statement to the Jamaican news media to bring attention to the matter as a form of protection. If I hadn't released it, I'd be dead, he claimed. Johnson's accusations made headlines days before the JLP's November 2010 annual conference. Robertson marched onto the stage at Kingston's National Arena to defend himself. He called Treasure Campbell, who was described in news media accounts as a student, contractor and JLP activist, to come on stage with him. The 2 men joined hands. This is the man that they say I want to hurt, Robertson declared, according to newspaper accounts. The papers didn't mention that Johnson had said Campbell's name was crossed out. Robertson never mentioned Guns. Campbell told the Gleaner newspaper, I have known Mr. Robertson for more than 10 years and the allegation that he wants me killed is rubbish. A month later, on December 20, 2010, Robertson filed the libel lawsuit in Fort Lauderdale. Robertson withdrew the case a few months later. Rowe declined to comment about the case. Team of investigators. It was only after Johnson's statement went public that Green, the assistant commissioner of police in charge of homicide, heard about the case. He assembled a team of about 6 investigators to corroborate Johnson's statement. Green did not want to publicly disclose evidence because the case is technically still open. According to Jamaican police sources who asked not to be named, the investigation matched ballistics at several of the shootings, and traced cell phone records and car rental receipts that linked Treasure Campbell to the shooting outside Johnson's house, and cell phone records with one of the gunmen who allegedly shot Jones in the hospital. When police searched Campbell's home, according to the police sources, they found cell phone records between Campbell and Robertson from around the time of the shooting. There were also records of financial payments from Robertson to Campbell. Green arranged to relocate Jones to another country in exchange for his testimony. Johnson left for the United States, but agreed to return and testify. On April 1, 2011, Green sent the investigative file to the Office of Public Prosecutions, outlining the case. Then he waited. Robertson, meanwhile, was facing other problems. A government investigation into a contract to supply natural gas to the island found numerous irregularities. The contract was cancelled and Robertson, under pressure, stepped down as Minister of Energy. He remained in Parliament. Days later, Robertson confirmed to reporters that both his and his wife's U.S. visas had been revoked. The U.S. State Department declined to comment. On June 4, 2011, Paula Llewelyn, Jamaica's Director of Public Prosecutions, responded to the evidence that Green submitted. She sent a memo to Green stating that there was prima facie evidence to base the charge of soliciting murder against Robertson. The memo has never been made public, but was obtained from law enforcement sources close to the investigation, with parts redacted. In a caveat, the memo noted that the case was based on persons who appear to have very significant credibility issues, referring to Johnson and Jones. The issues: Johnson alleges that Robertson is connected in some way to the murder of his mother and believes that Robertson has given orders to have him, Johnson, killed. Meanwhile, Jones appears to be a gunman or very closely linked with them, the memo stated. The memo also offered the recommendation that given the status of former Minister James Robertson and the nature of these allegations, one should anticipate significant challenges in bringing this matter to trial. She was right. In late July 2011, a member of Jamaica's witness security team visited Jones in a foreign country, where he was under police guard. Jones, who had been seeking relocation, was told by witness protection the offer had not been approved by the Ministry of National Security, Green recounted. The next day he was told he was required to appear in court to give evidence. The combination of events scared Jones. He basically walked off the system and left, said Johnson, who was hiding with Jones. Without Jones, prosecutors declined to pursue the case. Through Johnson, Jones declined to comment for this story. In January 2012, Green learned that the Ministry of National Security did not renew his contract with the police department. He returned to Europe. The investigation and its collapse were never reported. Green has never before spoken publicly about the case. Johnson said he would gladly return to testify, if his safety could be guaranteed. The minute one politician is held accountable for their crimes, Jamaica will be a different place, he said. Robertson, meanwhile, still cannot travel to the United States.
So here you have, right, as it relates to Les Green, right, what collected all the statements, right, and handed over to Paula Llewelyn, right? For Paula Llewelyn, who admitted, Paula Llewelyn, I am talking to you now. You admitted, Paula Llewelyn, right? That based on the evidence, right, that being collected by Les Green, handed over to you, you said, you confirmed, Paula Llewelyn, that, of course, these evidence are strong. However, Paula Llewelyn, you did not proceed with a charge. You did not proceed with a charge. Right? Because James Robertson, right, affiliated with the Jamaica Labour Party. And so then, in order for you to protect him, even although you're admitting that the evidence was substantial, you, the DPP, right, did not say to Les Green, okay, right, he needs to be charged. And right now, you have James Robertson, still affiliated with the Jamaica Labour Party, right, doing his hanky-panky. And these are the persons, you understand, who mix and mingle in the Jamaica Labour Party. Now, our strong, who was supposed to offer protection, made sure that the gentleman was unprotected. Can you imagine? These are the people who are representing us politically. Now, let me say this and just up off a bit. Sister Maria, based on the information that you have just received, what say you as it relates to Paula Llewelyn behavior and all of this?
It goes back to, they're not serious about dealing with corruption. And the silence of the media, is deafening. And when the media abdicate their responsibility to be fair and balanced in their reporting, democracy is threatened because they are supposed to speak. The media is, by nature of their job, supposed to speak truth to power. And when you see these things happening at that level and nobody is being held accountable, that's why corruption goes unabated, because nobody, unlike in the report, in the piece, the person said, when they hold one Jamaican politician accountable in a serious way, it will start a course correction. That has not happened. Everything is 9-day talk, as Rattigan likes to say. It's 9-day talk. All these things are being kept alive in the social media space. And it is the DPP knew that he should have been charged. Why didn't she charge him? But then again, nobody offered to protect the witness.
Yes.
So he had to, his safety came first because his mother, as a result of all of that, his mother passed. His mother was unalive because of it. So anybody would seek to protect themselves as a result of that. And clearly, you can see there's a power play here because we know that people in Jamaica revere politicians.
Yes.
Boss, man, I'm the boss, that, I'm boss. I'm beg your thing, the boss. Instead of understanding that the politician is the servant of the people. He's there to serve. They are there to serve the people, be of service to the people, and not serve themselves. But they see themselves bigger than the people because the people have allowed them to do that for so long. It has become the norm in Jamaica, where politicians are treated this way. So no justice can come for anybody if the media will not take seriously their duty to fair and unbalanced reporting and follow these cases, put pressure on the people, because if they were putting pressure on these people by keeping it in the public space, talking about it all the time, there would be some amount of accountability that is coming, but they don't. And it's whitewashed. It's whitewashed, it's swept under the carpet. And something has come because the corruption is so blatant, in your face, and brazen. And had he been held, why is he sitting in Parliament?
There you go. That's the question.
Why is he sitting in Parliament? So, the Prime Minister cannot talk about 15 years for little children who might find themselves caught up into situations, or he's going to radam them or meet the judge or meet the maker. He has to look at his Parliament and address the corruption that exists within his Parliament.
Bad man government this.
Bad man government.
Right.
And the people are suffering as a result.
Exactly. Right. Thank you for that input, solid input, Sister Maria. Let me go to Jamaica, because Jamaica, I think that you're dealing with some time situation here, right? Yeah. Okay, all right. Let me just make you just zero in on this as it relates to what you have just heard, as it relates to, because this is case number one, showing you the MO that you are building for Paula Llewelyn, right? And its political biasness, right? Now we are the Les Green, right? Former Scotland Yard investigator, right, who collected the evidence, and where after he handed it over to Paula Llewelyn, right, Paula Llewelyn admitted, right, that the evidence was substantial to move with a charge, but yet Paula Llewelyn, Jamaica, did not proceed in terms of charging, right, James Robertson. What say you?
Yeah, when we look at the whole situation in terms of governance in the country, it is something that needs to be looked at critically, and we must ask for accountability, we must ask for integrity, and we must ask. Sorry about that. Now we must ask for transparency. These are some important things that we look at when we are looking at who we see as leaders. And with somebody who has been in that seat for over a decade now, from 2002, we're going to ask, what are your achievements, Mr. Robertson? When we look at St. Thomas, why is St. Thomas looked at as an underdeveloped parish? Where is your baby? Where is the infrastructure that you have done for St. Thomas, so that St. Thomas people can continue to have you in power? And when we look at it, is demagoguery, because the people of the parish are afraid of you, and you shouldn't be afraid of your leader. When you're here on the ground in St. Thomas, people are afraid to even speak about his name, what goes on, because it is not something that is a one-off situation. It's something that is continuous when it comes on to him harming people. That is the perception that the people have within the parish. And if this is the perception that they have for a so-called leader, then why is he still in place? This is a major question. And we're looking, tell us your success, let us know, celebrate your success if there's any success. I'm saying that you feel the Jamaican people, especially the people of St. Thomas. And there's even case of him camping out before the day of the election just to, just to make the people have that sense of fear all over again. This is not the type of leadership that is needed for a progressive nation. And we need to get rid of these type of people. Here also, there's alleged cases of him vote buying. We want to know where's the transparency. We want to know about these things. And then when we see the DPP who had said in earlier times, she had said a wise and a prudent DPP would work alongside the investigator.
Here you go.
To prosecute, to be effective. We want to know why you get all the tool and yet still we can't see any result. What purpose you serve the Jamaican people? Recently, we have seen that you have said that you have gone forward with cases that have been tampered. You're comfortable enough in corruption and criminality to come out on a public platform, a so-called credible news station in nationwide, which we know it is a labor echoing corruption station. We know these things. It is nothing about transparency and nothing about giving substantial information to the Jamaican people. Why should all of this continue? That is my question. Why should the DPP continue? You're not serving the Jamaican people. The Jamaican people don't feel comfortable. You went to England. You should have been the one to represent Jamaica. Jamaica's law, legislation in Jamaica, yet still all we saw that you were doing is to pass papers. And we see that not even proper courtroom etiquette you couldn't follow in terms of turning off your cell phone. So incompetence looms large when we look at who should be in the well, not who should, who are already there in the hierarchical positions. It is a shame, and you look at it from a normal man and you say, this is cockistocracy, where you have the least among us in terms of mental capacity, intellectual capacity,
Exactly,
collecting the big money from the Jamaican people. It is quite sad. And for somebody who, as I keep on saying, never vote before, I'm happy that I'm able to understand these things, and I hope that other people can understand to say stay as far as possible from the Jamaica Labour Party. And one thing in closing, I want to say to the opposition leader, Honorable Mark Jefferson Golden, I want to say this to you, sir. On the behalf of well-thinking Jamaicans, you should be pressing the Prime Minister say that you're not credible, you're not allowed to contest an election. Your statutory declaration is not certified. You did not sign the Ethics Code of Conduct. We see a lot of signs of corruption in not just you, but the remaining ministers and cabinet ministers under your leadership. You should be eligible to be competing for the power of Jamaica. Again, you have told us so much lie, and I believe it's time for us to have this serious conversation to say no longer and move aside, because you're not reflecting true well-thinking Jamaican who have ethical practices wanting to get better. The world is looking at us, and it is a shame and disgrace where our political atmosphere is at. It is wrong. And I believe a time comes for a change right now. And the only thing that is constant and consistent is change.
let me say this to you.
Yeah.
It's the video clip that we have shown where James Robertson sort of mixed up into that conundrum, and where strong evidence has been collected by Les Green, handed over it to Paula Llewelyn, and where Paula Llewelyn admitted, based on the experience of Les Green being, a Scotland Yard investigators, you understand, those are high-tech investigators who have done their investigation, collect the evidence on the ground, hand it over to the DPP. The DPP admitted, confirmed that there is much there. It is substantial for the charges to be laid. Now, why the DPP didn't proceed, right, in laying charges. And here we have James Robertson still, right, in representation and politics. Take it away for us, Pastor Ricky.
Well, the truth of the matter is the DPP is corrupt. She has aligned herself with criminality. And when the prime minister goes to jail, many of them will be going with him to prison, and she's one of them. What we're seeing from her is a pattern of how she's the guardian against prosecution for high crimes, misdemeanor, white-collar criminality, transnational organizational crimes, financial crimes, and those are in government. She has implicated herself, and now she's entrenched. Whether she physically commit a crime, the truth of the matter that these investigations were done by external, international, certified legal investigators that has years of experiences probing, combing with a magnifying glass, going through documents and evidence. They present the facts to her. All she has to do is to act on the facts. We see the same thing with the Kroll report. That investigation was done by investigators in the UK. They recommended prosecution. What is it that she needs other evidence for that's outstanding? The investigations is completed. The investigators made a determination based upon evidence that they have uncovered on Fold, and in the seat of the prosecution, she needs to now take the baton and finish the race by prosecuting these criminals. But because she's implicated herself and she's involved in what you would call another charge, she's probably going to pick up aiding and abetting criminality in the government. She's failed miserable to carry her duty as a prosecutor in the office of the prosecutors in Jamaica. She should not have been allowed to come back and finish these 9 months. This is why we see the criminal corrupt justice minister put his neck on a limb for her to return to, with the SSL thing. I honestly think she don't want to touch it. I might sound crazy for saying this, because this is going to have implications, international implication. I think she wants to run the clock out so the next DPP that comes in will have to deal with it, because this is one of the most scrutinized cases because of Usain Bolt. And I strongly know that she knows that. And if she threw this case out and don't prosecute those that are involved in this case, it's going to create international backlash against her and the Justice Department in Jamaica. So I think that she says she has outstanding evidence she's waiting on. I think she's just saying that and lying to the because she don't want to touch the case. In a few more months, she will be vacating her office. And the election could be called before September, which means we will have a new justice minister, a new national security minister, a new prime minister, and I don't think she's able to do what she really wants to do or what she intended. I think that the moment that she was the Supreme Court ruled that her tenure was null and void, that threw everything off balance. Whatever they had planned to do, and even the IC sees that moment and release the investigation information they have on the prime minister. So she's between a rock and a hard place. Forces that she's aligned with want her to throw the case out. But deep in her mind, she knows if she does that, she's in huge trouble.
Mystic sensation there. Mystic sensation there.
Yeah. Amen. Rattigan up on our case, you up on our case. And what messed her up is that The IC report was given to international investigators. So external investigator outside of Jamaica know exactly what's going on. The case you just mentioned was given to the UK, so they know what's going on. The SSL case was given to the UK, so they know what's going on. So she's walking on eggshell right now, and I strongly believe she knows that. And she's know that if she make one bad move, it can land her in prison, and she can be held accountable. And I don't know if there's any laws in Jamaica that can retry these cases with SSL if she throw it out. I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to do some research on that. But I think she knows she's between a rock and a hard place, and she doesn't want to touch these cases. That's my analysis based upon what she said and based upon the case you present tonight. I think she doesn't want to make a wrong move because it's gonna land her in prison. Listen, a whole heap of them are got prison.
Okay.
The prime minister, one of them. It might sound crazy, but a lot of these investigation has left the domain of Jamaica and it's in international waters. So even the FBI offer to the Caribbean nations to come down there and help them with fighting against, giving them tools to fight against corruption. The UK government just gave them 19 million, not the government, but attorney Daniel Archer, $19 million against bribery. So the spotlight is on Jamaica, and international players are paying attention, and they know what's going on in Jamaica. So I think she knows that, and I think she's going to leave those cases alone, honestly.
All right. No, so okay, that is Pastor Ricky view, and that is why we are here pounding right the hammer, and because we are setting the patterns not for only right locally, we are setting the patterns for international lookers to look in terms of what we are presenting here tonight. So case number one against her, we are showing the MO, the modus operandi of the DPP, Paula Llewelyn, as it relates to her political biasness and her involvement, right, as it relates to not wanting to prosecute, right, these politicians. So case number one, you have seen with, of course, James Robertson. Now let us look on case number two. You are going to see case number two carry similar pattern, similar behavior with, you understand, the DPP in case number two. So let us go into case number two. Rise case number two, consolidated. Case number two with the DPP. Now let us look on this as it relates to the offense that committed here, as it relates to SSL, right? And we are crawled and FID had investigated it, right? As it relates to $5 billion, right, of our Jamaican black people money, right, have been stolen, right? Now let us look at the investigation. We are going to straight to the investigation, right? 4.0 SSL investigation. This is it now. Nigel Clark, we are quoting here. As I mentioned in my opening budget presentation in March 2023, and again in March 2024, with respect to the investigation into SSL, the political position of the government is that we will make available whatever resources are required to ensure a thorough, fair, complete, and independent investigation. We all know that is lie. All of us locally and in the diaspora know what has been said here as it relates to paragraph 1 is a careless lie. We will also leave no stone unturned. Him not there right now, you know. Him gone to IMF. So all of the stone them, in not even lift up one. Bulletin point number 2. Follow the evidence wherever it may lead and seek international assistance, which you did with CRAL. Let us go now. This is the policy that has been implemented. As previously updated, CRAL Associates, UK Limited, a renowned international investigation firm, was engaged to undertake an independent forensic audit to understand the facts relating to the fraud perpetrated at Stacks and Security Limited over the period of 2010 to 2023. The company was selected because it did not have any connection in Jamaica and because its vast experience given the complexity of the matter. Now, the volume of transactions, the number of accounts held by clients, and the number of bank accounts held by the SSL network of companies. Now, watch this now, people. The CRAL team, working with the support of government agencies, including FID and FSC, utilize technology, right, data analytics, and forensic expertise to produce what? A comprehensive report. When I say a comprehensive report, simply this means a very detailed report. A comprehensive and independent report of its finding in November 2023. The CRAL report has confirmed that the suspected fraudulent activity and mismanagement at SSL and its related parties were much broader than the initial understood. Now, with the benefit of this report, their own investigations and through collaborations with other law enforcement agencies, the FID has publicly reported that a file was submitted to the Office of the Director of People. I want you to pay attention to this. Pay attention to this paragraph. And you're going to see striking similarities as it relates to what happened, right, with James Robertson. Look at this paragraph, people. With the benefit of this report, their own investigations, and through collaboration with other law enforcement agencies, the FID has publicly reported that a file was submitted to the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions for the consideration, people, of criminal charges against individuals linked to SSL network of companies and or the companies pursuant to the Proceed of Crime Act, Larceny Act, and Financial Sector legislation. Take it away, Oni. Let us go to the panel. So here represented, right, case number 2, showing striking similarities to case number 1, where in case number 1, as it relates to Les Green, handed over sterling evidence to Paula Llewelyn, Paula Llewelyn in agreement with what was handed over as substantial amount of evidence, but failed to charge. Now, in case number 2, SSL case, fraud investigators ordered forensic expertise. Remember, Paula Llewelyn in a seminar said she doesn't have the expertise. Remember, people, let us back up here. Paula Llewelyn in a seminar said she doesn't have the expertise in financial crime. She also boasted this early run of mill as it relates to those, murder trial and so forth and so forth. She's more better able, right, to make, a more effective judgment in those because that area is her skill set. However, her skill set is not in financial crime. Now, watch this now. The person with the skill set, right, as it relates to fraud, came in. They have the skill set. The forensic expert working in tandem with FID, right? Give a comprehensive report and recommended charges. Here is Paula Llewelyn backing away from that, finding reasons as why they are not. She's not going to pursue charges, but waiting on what? What is she waiting on? She's waiting on some information. What is the information? Now, since Pastor Ricky had spoken already, right, as it relates to Paula Llewelyn, let us shape this to Sister Maria. Sister Maria, as it relates to what we just presented in case number 2, have you seen there similarities as it relates to case number 1? Go ahead, Sister Maria.
Yeah, but yes, but the thing is, Byron, the case Number one involving James Robertson, and then in case number two, what we have right now is a DPP who's so compromised. Um, she has failed her duties to the Jamaican people, but she has failed them miserably. She has failed them miserably. And I have to ask the question, why is it she's afraid to prosecute these people? She has the clear evidence, yet she has put people away on circumstantial evidence. She has put people away using tainted jurors. So the question is, why is it she is so quick to punish poor people, but the people at the top who are in clear violation of the law, and she knows it, she's afraid to do it. In the first instance, when the gentleman wasn't offered any protection, even though they saw so many things happening around him, so many direct attacks, and they did not offer him any protection. An honorable DPP would have moved heaven and earth to make sure the case was prosecuted, to hold such a person accountable, to deter anyone who would want to do that thing in the first, in the future. But that never happened. That never happened. And that is why, when you talk about SSL and Nigel Clarkson is going to, he will leave no stone unturned.
Yes.
He has left and he took all the stones with him. Then you have FID, now the DPP saying that FID lost evidence critical to an investigation such as SSL. What does that say about FID? Can this organization be trusted? So everywhere you look at it, there are so many holes in the integrity of the office of, I shouldn't say the office of the DPP, of the DPP herself, because there are honorable people working at the office of the Director of Public Prosecution. It's just this one person who has the power, given her position, to call a spade, and chooses not to do so, to the detriment of the Jamaican people. And the reason corruption can go unchecked is for reasons such as this. And SSL will be in the public space for a very long time to come until it is resolved. And looking at it now, do we think that it's going to be resolved? I don't think so. And I'm not sure, Raki isn't here, I'm not sure whether or not there's a statute of limitation on corruption crimes. I don't think so, right? Mistake or Pastor Ricky? I don't think there's a, right, so they can be prosecuted because it's a, right. So they
Yes.
can be prosecuted in the next administration. But it looks very bad. The optics alone is bad. But the facts makes it even worse because she has not been living up to her duties as a director of public prosecution and making sure that she does her work for the Jamaican people. It's taxpayers' money paying her, She's not being paid by the politicians or the members of the uptown. She's being paid by taxpayers. And she only pressures taxpaying people, the poor and the least among us. She pressures those people, and anything they do wrong or right, she puts them away. But these things, blatant, in your face, begging her to prosecute them. And she's saying, oh, nothing to see here. And then one shouldn't question her integrity. One should ask why it is they were so willing to give her an extension after she got an extension for the Constitution. And the second extension is a violation of the Constitution because they rammed it through the Parliament. There was no discussion about it or debate about it. They did not. So when they said they consult the opposition, it was a performatory thing. They weren't serious about it. So why do they have to keep her on as the DPP? And you look at these cases, and one can only surmise and come to their own conclusions about it. Are we wrong to come to the conclusions that we do, or are they justified given all that is happening happening, especially around this particular DPP. There are brilliant attorneys, prosecutors in the office of the DPP. She doesn't have to be there. And the idea that she has to be there to finish cases, what is her success rate? About 5%, 6%? It's dismal. So she doesn't have to be there. So she doesn't have to be there. And there are brighter person than her there. And it is nothing, it's not an attack on her intelligence or anything like that. Not at all. Not at all. But it's a question of why. Because she has failed the people.
All right. Well said, Sister Maria. So
Can I just touch a piece of it, Sir Byron?
Yeah, of course, of course.
I know that you're of the view that she was brought back for this case specifically. And I agree with you to some degree, but I don't want to undermine your thought pattern. However, in my opinion, I felt like this is the case she is afraid of more than the first case you present. This case number 2, the SSL, because this case involved the big players, the big boys. You have Paul Cheng Young, them, Hugh Krosky, Lee Chin, Don Crawford, and the Prime Minister. And I say it with no apology because based upon evidence that we have, we know that they're the players behind this SSL Ponzi scheme that used to be Paul Cheng Young and Associate that flopped. They refurbish it, rebrand it, reestablish it, reinvent it, and give it a different name called SSL, which is a Ponzi scheme that we know that defrauded their investors. The criminal prime minister is the shareholder in SSL, and the IC report revealed that he received money out of SSL before them flop or close. So if Kroll did an investigation, and if the IC can even know that the prime minister was involved in SSL, imagine what Kroll knows, and that's in the Kroll report that they don't want to release to the public, that she has on her desk. So based upon my analysis, she's feeling pressure to dismiss this case, but the ramification if she dismiss it, as I said before, is going to cause a huge international backlash, and she can wind up going to prison for tampering with this case. And so, as I said before, she's walking on eggshell. This is the case she's afraid of. And I kind of agree with Lady Maria that she don't want to prosecute this case. I think she wants to let the clock run out on this case, and it goes to our next administration, as Lady Anne Maria says, because she cannot prosecute her friends. She's part of the old boys network or the good boys network. She's deeply entrenched in that. She's compromised in this, as Lady Anne Maria says. And so they want her to get rid of
Stick up in right there. Stick up in right there.
Go ahead.
Remember what you're going to say. You said that she's a part of the old boys, part of the old boys stuff. She's a useful idiot for them.
True that.
Because she doesn't have the complexion for protection.
Right. They're all
okay.
White
so she's their useful idiot. So they know they're basically using her to do their dirty work.
Right.
And instead of her, and they could be her friends, and she could still do her job, and then would send a message that, yeah, though you are my friend, if you do this, I am going to do what I'm supposed to do per my profession. You're not going to tarnish my reputation because of your actions. You see? So she's being used by them. And I think if she looks into herself, she knows that she's being used by them, but she's in so deep right now, there's no out for her. You know? Okay, continue.
Yeah, that's basically what I wanted to say. That she's compromised, she's complicit, she's entrenched, she's involved. And I don't know if she's sleeping comfortable at night, Sir Byron. So I turn it back over to you.
Okay, all right. Let me say something, Pastor Ricky, right? To show you as it relates to why I do believe that the DPP is here for the case. I am going to show you a perfect, I'm going to take 3 points to you. If you realize that you cross carry is not in Jamaica. You realize that?
Yeah, he went to Canada.
Okay. Let me give you some evidence to show you. Number 2, Jean and Pantan said out loudly that, look, I was coerced by you cross carry.
Right.
To say what I said. That it was me who participated. Right? And so then Jean and Pantan stated out loud, have you seen any interrogation done with you cross carry in spite of what Jean and Pantan said?
No.
Let me tell you something. The DPP think that she's powerful because indeed the Constitution had given her that power. I'm going to show you something. Why this DPP is moving towards, right, trying something to crush this. I am going to bring up the Constitution. I'm going to bring up the power of the DPP, show you.
Right.
Without any delay, bring that up. So we can read it. So you can understand as it relates to how you understand I make my determination.
Right.
Now look at this.
Right. She have the power to start or stop any case.
Okay, look at this. Office of the Director of the Public Prosecution, the Jamaican Constitution, Order in Council 1962, Section 94, established the Office of the Director of the Public Prosecution and its jurisdiction. Now watch this. Under Section 94, subsection 3, A to C, the Director of Public Prosecution has the power to initiate, to start a case, authorize, right? So when you hear I am talking about, okay, with the James Robertson case, why Paula Llewelyn never informed, right, Les Green, you understand, to charge James Robertson. Here it is, you know, the Constitution said she has the power to initiate, the power to authorize, and take over and terminate prosecution in all the courts in the island. Think of this, Pastor Ricky. Now watch this. The mission of the Office of the Director of the Public Prosecution, the mission of the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution is to fulfill its constitutional mandate by providing the people of Jamaica with an independent, professional, and effective prosecution service that operates with integrity. She should have shame of herself. She should be ashamed of herself. Inspires public trust and confidence and safeguards, right, the administration of justice. Right? She should have shame of herself throughout the island of Jamaica. Right? Now, if you look at the objectives of the department are as follows: to present criminal cases before the court in a timely manner. Timely manner. See, time. Bulletin point number 1, timely manner. And allow SSL can't go before the court to provide the citizens of Jamaica with a professional prosecutorial service that is fair and just to both victims and the accused person. You are going to tell me that the people them lose their money in SSL and it is fair for Paula Llewelyn, you understand, in spite of Crawl giving her a comprehensive report using delaying tactics and all sort of shenanigans what she used. Hear this, to collaborate with law enforcement officers in facilitating the efficient collection. Hey people, let me tell you something now. Look at this bulletin point. So this I tell us that this bulletin point I tell us that the DPP should be working with the investigators as it relates to SSL.
Right.
To collaborate with law enforcement officers in facilitating the efficient collection, and on me say it is what written in the Constitution, processing and presentation of evidence for the court. This is what Paula Llewelyn is supposed to be done, supposed to be doing. to mentor legal and administrative staff so that they can maximize their true potential and be motivated to remain with the department. To watch out, to continue to provide the facilities to expose prosecutors to the most recent legal authorities and to improve the necessary skills and techniques to enhance their prosecutorial capabilities to deliver urgent rulings. And on me, I said this, you know, to deliver urgent rulings. Does the DPP deliver urgent ruling in the SSL case? Wait until we reach case number 3. We know why see the clear corruption. To deliver urgent rulings within a day of receipt and general rulings within 3 months of receipt into the office and citizens to complain in respect of police excess or fatal shootings or whatever crime that ought to be. The SSL case going all over a year, 2 years. Right? Look for that. Just look for all these things. On it.
Yeah,
So
that's why I said that she was brought back for this case, and you said that repeatedly, and I'm not disputing that, but I'm saying she's agonizing because this case has international implications and attention, and she knows. You don't think she do? Okay.
She doesn't care about that because number one, let me tell you why she doesn't care about that.
Right.
Right. The fact of the matter, we don't even know if Paula Llewelyn has any account in a SSL and been paid by SSL. We don't know that.
Right. Right.
But can she prosecute? Can she prosecute given that they don't have any FID of the evidence?
Huh?
Can she prosecute given that the FID, it was her who said that she cannot move, the FID has lost critical evidence regarding SSL.
Well, guess what? Just imagine in terms of what was read as it relates to, you know, delivering justice. Now, watch this. Remember, FID and Crawl had given her the comprehensive report, which sat on her desk and recommended charges.
Right.
Now, what I'm saying, Sister Maria and Pastor Ricky, for those persons whose charges have been recommended, why not charge those persons? And the credible evidence that presented by Fid and by Crawl said, look, okay, these 8 persons or 5 persons or whatever persons are to be charged. Why should I proceed with the charges? And of the court, if she's going to deal with justice, said, look here, okay, let me do my work as a prosecutor, right? Because remember, you know, the prosecution team, right, as it relates to what we just read, and the investigators, they're supposed to be working together, you know. And if they were working together, right, then, I mean, the prosecutor wouldn't have to wait for the prosecutor, you understand, to make a ruling.
Right.
He would be here during the investigation process because, as what we just read, you understand the Constitution, as it relates to allow her in the collection process of the evidence. You know? That's what it said in the collection process of the evidence. So then, when we look at that, she totally, the prosecution missed it from that.
Right, but the Constitution lays out, Brother Byron,
Exactly.
the procedures that must be followed.
The procedures that must be followed.
And if she follows those, you know, as stipulated by the Constitution, the case would have been
people gone to prison. Yeah.
Right, the case would have exactly, Pastor Ricky. The case would have been tried and adjudicated by now.
Yeah.
So she's literally running the clock out.
Yeah, but I was thinking, what if she don't want to prosecute her friends? What if she want to leave that for future DPP?
But look here.
That's what I was thinking.
Pastor Ricky, leaving that for future DPP, how would she benefit the Jamaica Labour Party criminal corruption? You think Andrew Wallace, hold on, you think Andrew Wallace would want her there to leave that for future DPP? Where it's left for future DPP a straight prison? Right. You think that is what they want? No. You think if Andrew Wallace believe or ever think that the DPP wanted to leave for future DPP, right? That the Prime Minister would want to call her back? If her intent is to leave for future DPP?
But she can wind up go to prison because of this case herself.
No, Pastor Ricky, listen, she cannot go to prison because there's nowhere in the Constitution. That's why I brought it up to you. There is nowhere in the Constitution. You understand? Where Paula Llewelyn can go to prison because she decided not to proceed a case. No,
exactly. Yeah, she cannot be prosecuted. She cannot be held accountable, basically. But the thing is, she will tarnish her reputation in the process.
She's just playing with time because she wants to end it. She wants to crush it. There is nowhere in the Constitution, Pastor Ricky. The Constitution has given her the ultimate power.
Right.
So where we have to take the argument as it relates to constitutional reform is to look at that and where that act need to be amended.
Right.
Need to be amended to put accountability that the DPP should not have the ultimate power. There should be an oversight committee to look at cases where the DPP may rule on and give reason as to why she had made certain determination. If you did have a committee, whether the committee might be a committee within the parliament.
No more committees in the parliament.
Let me finish, Maria. Whether the committee in the parliament comprises of, you understand, equally the opposition and the Jamaica Labour Party, the incumbent and the opposition, then you'd have something solid. Or you have an independent committee.
Yeah, independent is better. Yeah, no politician.
Committee,
yeah,
exactly.
Get rid of
the politics that is going to hold the DPP accountable. So what I'm saying to you, Pastor Ricky and Sister Maria, there's nothing in the Constitution that tell you that if the DPP decided, you understand, to end the case, that the DPP, you understand, can be charged and prosecuted. Nothing in the Constitution. So the DPP, you understand, has the ultimate power, prosecutorial power. And this is why I am saying, you understand, that she come back for the SSL case. They brought her back for the SSL case. What Paula Llewelyn is doing now is playing with people and talking about this and talking about that. She's going to find ways and means and try to crush the SSL case. That's why Mystic Sensation is now joking her and show her, because the decision that we need to make is to make this, give the electorate the information to know that she's corrupt, you understand, and vote out this government and have her removed.
Right. And the Prime Minister was a shareholder in SSL, and she's protecting him from being prosecuted.
Okay, so look at this. Look at this. Case number 3 that we are going to show, you understand, the MO, the modus operandi of Paula Llewelyn. You understand? We're only proving something here tonight. Now, live up case number 3, honey, in battle mark on it. Look at this. This is another case again, where the DPP again is going to admit, you understand, that the charges against this man was substantial, but again, the DPP refused to charge this man. Look at this. And Mark Barnett still earning millions of dollars as NWC president. This is what burned me, you know. This is January 9, 2025, you know. Look here, people. This is the 9th of January, 2025, you know. The DPP who should have charged this man, you know, Andrew Honest, criminal administration kleptocracy, allow this man to be still collecting money, you know. After this amount of corruption, you know, the DPP allowed this man to still collecting money, you know. Now let us move on. Let us move on. President of the National Water Commission, NWC, Mark Barnett, remains in his position nearly a year and a half after the process to terminate his employment started. Mr. Barnett came under the fire in 2023 following a damning Integrity Commission report regarding his role in building breaches at a development and Charlie Mount Drive in St. Andrew. Watch this on, people. Okay, we have this campaign.
In 2023, Director of Investigations for the Integrity Commission, Kevon Stevenson, concluded that a development owned by Barnett and his wife breached the building, planning, and environmental permits that were issued by the KSAMC and NEPA for the development. Stevenson said his conclusion was premised on the fact that the referenced development consists of 6 two-bedroom units and 6 three-bedroom units instead of 12 one-bedroom units. The DI concluded that there was a clear intention on the part of Mark Barnett and Mrs. Annette Francis Barnett to contravene the terms of the building and planning permit which was issued by the KSAMC. It was also found by the IC's Director of Investigations that Mr. Barnett owed nearly $1 million to the National Water Commission for sewage and water supply. Sources close to the matter suggest the process to mutually separate Mr. Barnett from the NWC has been frustrated and slowed due to legal wrangling on the part of the President and his attorneys. When Nationwide News contacted NWC Chairman Michael Shaw in September of last year, he stated that a separation between Barnett and the NWC is imminent and expected to be mutually agreeable. However, when Nationwide News followed up with the chairman today, he suggested it was at a place for decision-making. He would provide no further clarification as to what that meant. Siobhan Campbell for Nationwide News.
Okay. So,
Well, you see how sad it is, though, that he owes millions of dollars for water, and he's the NWC chairman. He's the president of the NWC, and he owes. You cannot make this stuff up,
You can't make this up. You can't make this up. So, in case number 3, here it is, right? That the Integrity Commission investigators flagged this man. Now, send the case as it relates to the DPP. The DPP looked at the case and said, okay, all right, the investigation done solid, right? And yes, strong evidence to charge this man. But guess what? What the DPP had done? Skillfully had made time lapse as it relates to the statute of limitation. And then she run out and claimed that the case is statute bar. Case is statute. So that's how Paula Llewelyn get him off. You know? How Paula Llewelyn shield and get him off. No, but look at it. Look at the disparity between the justice. Look back up and talk about the disparity of justice as it relates to Paula Llewelyn dealing with the Jamaica Labour Party administration and the People's National Party administration. Now, make a go to the
exactly. And before you go, Baron, I forgot to sign off right here now because I have an early appointment tomorrow. Blessings. Always good to be in this space. Blessings, Mystic. Blessings, Anne-Marie. Blessings, Pastor Ricky.
Yeah, man.
We do this again, God willing, next Tuesday.
All right, blessings.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
All right. So Pastor Ricky, let us look at this now. Watch this now. When we look on the way of justice, the disparity of justice as it relates to how the DPP deal with it. We have Peter Bunting, right? And we have Philip Parwell, right?
Yeah.
Who had some firearm breaches as it relates to the missing of their firearm, right? Now, and the DPP, right? Charge them. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm coming in. Yeah.
Now, you have Tavares, right? Finson. And you have one name in St. Mary, the MP of St. Mary, somebody in that chat can, Robert Montague, right? Who had 4 firearms missing under the same circumstances. And guess what? The DPP has not charged them. So you see the biasness, the political biasness in terms of what is there. Now, so that is case number 3 as it relates to the partiality. Now, let us go to case number 4. You are going to a link. Leroy Cornwall said, yet still they cut off all water for a small amount. What I tell you, let's look at that. Now, what's this now? Case number 4 is our final case that we are going to present tonight to show you the series of events as it relates to the political biasness, right, of Paula Llewelyn and how Paula Llewelyn so-called dispensating justice. Now look at this. Now, murder at attorney Patrick Llewlyn. Let us go to case number 4. Now, when we look at this, case number 4, murder at attorney Patrick Bailey home still being probed. Still being probed. February 4, 2021, this now. Cops say, the police say they have not closed their probe into the murder of a man 4 years ago. Remember, no, this what's this? This is 2021. And they are talking about 4 years ago. Right? The police say they have not closed their probe into the murder of a man 4 years ago at the St. Andrew home of prominent attorney Patrick Bailey. Jeremy Jr., 51-year-old construction worker, was found with stab wounds and a single gunshot wound to the head in the attorney's living room on September 30, 2016. In an update on the case on Monday, February 1st, at a police press conference, Deputy Commissioner of Police, DCP in charge of crime, Fitz Bailey, said the probe into the killing is ongoing. And now this is a case I can't solve. Right? And the DPP has nothing to say about this case. The DPP has the power to initiate in this case, have the power to aid in the collection, right, of data as it relates to evidence in this case. And the prosecution team silent, nothing coming from them. Well, the matter, junior murder case is ongoing. It is not yet closed. But the truth is, we go by the evidence. We go by the evidence, and I don't think we have the adequate amount of evidence to advance a criminal prosecution at this time. He disclosed. Take this away. Let me talk about this. Now, Jamaica, we really need justice. Now, 2 men into a home, a closed place, right? And there is no tampering. But yet, one of the 2 men died. The man who died received over 21 stab wounds and 1 gunshot wound. Another man claimed that he was sleeping and somehow became cognizant of the situation, right, while he awoke and stumbled upon the body. But Bailey knife has been found with the blood, with the man's blood. To date, as we speak, Patrick Bailey has not been interrogated. Not been interrogated. There is no evidence that properly collected. Now, no one asked about Patrick Bailey legal firearm. Where it is? What happened to it? What happened to Patrick Bailey firearm that he issued with by the FLA? Was it used? We don't know. So think of it to the people. That the man, the deceased man, received a gunshot wound. So that if the deceased man received a gunshot wound, me as an investigator is going to investigate that. Right? Now, we are going to search for the bullet fragment. We are going to look on trajectory as it relates to how the bullet entered the man's body and exit. So we are going to look at entry and exit and try to search to find, right, the bullet. None of that. No, if the bullet found, let me ask some questions. If the bullet found, we have no information as it relates to did this particular bullet fired from the gun of Patrick Bailey, or if it didn't fire from the gun of Patrick Bailey. Did Patrick Bailey give access to a third party who may have carried out the act and who have the keys? And if you have that ballistic done, that could show you, the bullet could show you as it relates to the core markings on the bullet. You understand? Which particular firearm, you understand, that discharge that bullet. Who that firearm belonged to. So then obviously, you know very well that obviously the government is protecting this person. And why? Because Patrick Bailey affiliated with Andrew Holness. And Patrick Bailey in the same land raveling situation as it relates to Andrew Holness. Many people are complaining about losing their land to Andrew Holness. Many people are complaining about, you understand, where their title, right, has been tampered with. Many people are complaining about that. And over. And this is something that Patrick Bailey known for. So then, what is it that the government is protecting? Now, Pastor Ricky, your comment on this. And then,
Yeah, great analysis. We're dealing with a transnational organized network of criminals in Jamaica, and she is there to prevent prosecution. She's the guardian of prosecution. Patrick Bailey, we haven't heard up until now, was he interrogated? Is there a statement, as you mentioned, from the police? And it goes to show you that even the high command of the police is compromised. Now, when someone dies unalive in a person's home, you're the first persons of interest. You're the first person that should be interrogated. Whether you're a family member, close friend, relative, whoever is present is the person of interest. We don't have any information.
Investigation 101. Tell them, Pastor Ricky, you're right.
Right. We don't have any reports from the JCF as if the ballistics, like you said, with the mayor last Friday night, we don't have any ballistics on his firearm. I mean, the spent shell, was there any fingerprint on it? You know, we don't know these things because no investigation was taking place. The only thing we heard is doctor put him on bed rest. And to this day, he hasn't been prosecuted. And as you said, he's the former attorney of the criminal prime minister. So who is at the epicenter of this transnational organized criminal unit in Jamaica? The prime minister's name is calling on just about every clip you showed. So who's the person she's there to protect? Him.
Exactly.
He's at the epicenter of SSL. Everybody knows that. Patrick Bailey was his lawyer, buying land in his name, setting up ADMAT in St. Lucia, the properties that ADMAT bought. You know, Patrick Bailey is instrumental in all of this.
Does Patrick Bailey have account in SSL?
That's another question. Right. So, you know, we're onto their trail like a greyhound dog, and we're not going to ease up off of the pedal. We're going to press the pedal, you know, all the way to the floor. And we're going to get to the bottom of this. And our responsibility now is to reveal these information, revelations, bombshell Tuesday night revelations to everybody that's interested to know. And this is why we can't allow these criminals to run in the upcoming general election, because Roy Reid, I heard, is coming back. True or false? Let's see. Time will tell. He's before the courts. He should be prosecuted. You know what I mean? Why is she not prosecuted, Roy Reid? why is she protecting him? The prime minister is running for MP for his constituent, and he's probably going to lose his seat anyhow. But why is he allowed to run when he should be prosecuted? So, you know, this organized crime that's involved the DPP, the DCP, the high command of the JCF, the national security minister, and all the other players that are involved, they need to be eliminated from politics and go behind prison walls and serve at least 30, 40 years for the rest of their lives. So she's protecting all of them, and she has compromised herself and is and implicated herself so much that it's hard for her to come out of this. It's like being in a mob, a mafia family, and you're so deep in it, and you probably want to quit, but you can't quit because you know what the rules are if you quit. So she just have to go along and play along with it and play along with the game. But the truth of the matter is, it gives her great exposure to everybody now and in the international world that she's corrupt and she's the epicenter and the guardian of prosecution for these criminals. And this system has to be revamped, change as soon as we get a new prime minister in office. Carmelita Mark Goldin has to set up his justice department with his justice minister and his head of his national security minister to make great drastic change. And that's why we need to get 2/3 seats in the lower house and the upper house, because a lot of these changes it's gonna require is constitutional amendment, and it's gonna require 2/3 in both houses.
Well, well said, Pastor Ricky. I love how you spoke about that. And I have to continue in the same vein as it relates to the electorate and let them understand that, look, we want to support Mark Goldin, right, overwhelmingly, right? And what sort of support that we are talking about? We want, in terms of the voter, right, when they voted, it is strong enough so that Mark Goldin carry a 2/3 majority in Parliament in terms of passing certain laws, right? There is no objection. We also want a 2/3 majority in the Senate, right? So that Mark Goldin has no objection, because you have to understand how bill, right, becomes law, right? The process of, certain legal arguments stated as bill, you understand how it traffic through, right, the system, right? So when you have a bill, right, it has to be dealt with into the lower house, argued on, right, voted on, right, and so then the 2/3 majority carried, right, to the Senate, right, and then, of course, the Senate, deals with it and so forth, right, that, okay, after that, it goes to the Prime Minister office, the Prime Minister signed off, then send it to the Governor General, and the Governor General send it in law. That is how a bill manifested in law, going through the processes, right? So then one have to understand that, look, we can't give Mark Goldin, we can't give the People's National Party, you understand, a marginal win. We don't want that, because if you give a marginal win, let me go on Jamaican people. Let me talk to Jamaican people. I'm glad Pastor Ricky mentioned. If you give a marginal win, what is going to happen, my people? That the Jamaican Labour Party is not going to give the People's National Party the run of the mill to make them look good. They are going to be blocking everything to create stalemate. Jamaican people, they are going to suffer again because they don't understand the politics and realize that, okay, certain policies, right, cannot be passed or cannot be put in law, you understand, because GLP is there, you understand, to create the stalematism. So then when we say we want things to change, the only way Mark Llewlyn can do that, the People's National Party can do that, is a convincing win. We are talking about landslide victory. You understand what I say? Now with Mystic Sensation, I'm not afraid to say it, 63 seat me want him. You understand what I say? 63 seat me want. The only problem I have, I don't have Tivoli. But we still talk to the Tivoli people. You understand what I say? We still talk to the Tivoli people.
Well, from what I heard, there's a lot of disgruntled laborites in Tivoli.
But what I tell the Tivoli people is that they need to look as it relates to, you understand, the 63 years after independence and how to make a Labour Party, you understand, in government for most of the years. But yet, look on the lifestyle of Tivoli. So Tivoli may talk to you, right? When you look on areas living better life than who me yesterday at Tivoli, you have all 5 different families that share one restroom, And I'm sure they're making. This is the condition at Tivoli where you have, let me put it down because I don't want to exaggerate. Where you have 2 or 3 different families that use one restroom and they have to take turns in cleaning it. Want to tell me if I like that? So this is the lifestyle where Andrew Wallace, you understand, want to deal with the entire Jamaica, run Jamaica like Tivoli. No, man, we have to say no to you, man, and your corruption, man.